Welcome everyone to the Full Stack User Group for October. My name is Tylah Kapa, and today I want to talk to you about Vercel and simplifying your development with zero configuration. If you don't know me, my name is Tylah Kapa, and you can stalk me on X at JadeKappa or on SSW People. I'm an SSW software engineer with a background in games development. Once I broke an arm while arm wrestling. I'm terrible at kickboxing, and I collect very expensive cardboard. If you want to know more about those things, you can talk to me afterwards. In case you didn't know, SSW has the awesome rewards app. You can scan the QR code on screen right now to install it. And at talks and events just like this, you'll be able to earn points, which you can claim for prizes such as SSW merch or a smartwatch. So let's jump into it. First, I want to talk about what sparked the need for Vercel in me. Then we'll talk about what Vercel and NextJs is. Then I want to talk a little bit, or give a demo rather, of how to get the best possible start with Vercel and NextJs. I'm going to go through some pros and cons of Vercel, and then we'll wrap up and you can all get started on those side projects. So, first, a question for the audience. Have you ever failed to launch on a side project? Just hands up if you have. Because I know that I have. And for me, when projects take a while to begin, they end up postponed until they no longer exist. For example, I wanted to migrate my blog, but I never ended up getting started. So let's get into the requirements for that blog. I wanted a blog website that was easy to stand up and easy to maintain and update. I wanted good analytics so I could know who was coming in and out of my website and what my most popular posts were. I wanted to take advantage of static site generation, and so I personally chose NextJs, and that's just a personal preference for me. Best of all, I wanted it to be free, because for my existing blog, I was paying about $30 a month. So if I could pay less, that'd be so much better. Here's what I ended up doing instead. And I thought about why I ended up being lazy and not starting this project. And I found that the question that would trigger it is, how would I do that? How would I start this migration? Well, I would have to create my repository, and then I would need to find somewhere to host it. And I chose Azure, because that's what I knew at the time. I would have to create my Azure resources, like a static web app. And then I would have to set up my GitHub actions. Now, to be fair to Azure, it's not very hard to set up a static web app, but then I would have to set up things like App Insights or Front Door, and then I would have to debug those resources, and then I would get sad, and I would go play games because I'm sad. So enter Vercel and NextJs. But you might be asking, what is NextJs? Well, it's a powerful React framework where you can benefit from incremental static regeneration and static site generation. That's why I like it. It has TypeScript integration, and that might be a con to some of you, but that's okay. You have API routing, which means you can build API endpoints for your website without needing to create a separate app. And it also has built-in CSS, image, and font optimization, so you can improve the performance and reduce the load time of your website. So, what is Vercel? Well, it's a cloud hosting service, and it markets itself as an end-to-end platform. It takes care of your deployments and your CI/CD for you, and it has built-in analytics capabilities. You also have edge functionality, which means you can run serverless functions more local to your user for lower latency. Officially, Vercel supports many JavaScript frameworks, and more importantly, it supports NextJS because Vercel was created by NextJS developers. So, I want to talk about just how easy it is to get started with Vercel. So we're going to jump into deploying a website, and today I want to show you starting with zero code to having a cloned repository live on the web. So let's jump into it. I'm on my vercel.com dashboard right now, and I've logged in with GitHub. You can see my existing blog here, but we're going to create a new project by going Add New Project. And from this page, you can actually import an existing GitHub repository. But I don't really want to do that right now. I'm going to show you how to clone a brand new template. So we'll come over to the Clone Template screen. We're going to head over to Browse All Templates. Once we click in, there's a plethora of both Vercel and community-supplied templates up for grabs, ready to deploy. And you can see we have an AI chatbot, some stuff like NextJs Commerce, or multiple starters that we can pick. But I want to choose a blog, so let's head over to blog. And there's still even more templates to choose from, but I like the look of this blog starter kit. Let's jump into that, and we can see we have a whole README that you would expect to see on a GitHub repository. We can even see how to clone this locally if we so desire. We can even view the demo live and deployed, and we can see that it's quite a simple, elegant website with some lorem ipsum generated for us. Let's close out of that, and I want to click Deploy. So now we're going to create our project. I can head over to choose where I want this repo cloned to, and that's just Tylah Kapa. And my repository name, I'm fine with that. Let's leave it be. We'll click Create. And now this step is a little bit boring because Vercel is going to create the project for us. It'll clone the repo into Git, and it'll start building the project in the cloud. Now, you can see all the build steps happening live as they go through it. And this step's a little bit boring, so I'll speed it up eventually. But as you can see, we have quite quickly our website building. You can also drop down to see the build steps happening in real time. We can take a look at deployment summaries to see what assets were created and deployed to the server. And once that's all done, we get a nice little congratulations screen and some cute next steps that Vercel recommends for us. But I want to continue over to the dashboard. This is our fully created project, and we can see the project name up here, and we can see our production deployment. We can even see what deployment Vercel has deployed to production for us and what domain our project is on. Down the bottom of this little modal, we can also see some Git details as well. And we can open up and see exactly the same template that we saw in our demo. And it's all deployed there, ready to go, ready to share. You go. All right, so let's favorite that for now. And you might be wondering how we push changes to our website. Well, it's quite easy because Vercel will listen for changes in our repository and create a new deployment for every push that we actually do. I've already cloned it locally, so let's see it in action. I'm going to head over to VS Code now. And I've set everything up locally so that I know it's working. I've already run yarn install and stuff like that. We can see all our files on the left-hand side, and I can come up to the post folder where all of our other blogs live. I'm just going to go ahead and create a new file, and we're going to name it, I don't know, my blog or something like that. And because this is not a typing competition, I'm just going to copy and paste in something I already had. This is a typical Markdown blog file with front matter, including a title and author. And we've also got a very basic blog body. And all we need to do now is push this up. So I'm going to create a new commit. Let's stage our changes first and make sure we commit new blog. And we'll sync those changes up into GitHub. Cool. Once we've done that, we can jump back into GitHub, see that that commit has gone through properly. Cool, we got it. And now we can head back over to Vercel and see that our build is actually running. We can jump back into our project, and up in the deployments tab, we can see we've already got our new blog commit running, and ready. So we can head back to our project tab, and we can now see that our new blog is live and deployed. So let's open that up, and if we scroll down, we can see that new blog post there. Okay, cool. So now that we know how easy it is to use Vercel, we can explore some more interesting concepts like preview deployments. Now, preview deployments are a baked-in feature in Vercel, and we all like those, right? I've already talked about how Vercel listens for changes to our repository, but I'm going to show you a new way to deploy using the Vercel CLI. So I'm just going to jump back into VS Code, and we can create a new development branch. So down in the left here, we'll create a new branch called development. Now all we need to do is publish this branch to Git so it knows it exists. And then in our terminal down the bottom, we can just run Vercel link. Now what this is going to do is link our local repository up to our Vercel project. We get some setup questions. Yes, I want this to be associated with me. I exist. And it found our blog starter kit project already. Cool. So once all that's done, I'm just going to go ahead and run clear so everyone can see what's happening. As soon as that happens. Awesome. And now I can run Vercel deploy. It's going to upload briefly, and then we're going to get back some information, including our new deployment and preview link. So I'm going to jump back into Vercel now. And in our deployments tab, again, we can see that our preview deployment is currently building. If we open up this deployment, we can take a look at exactly what's happening. And we can see that it's assigning our domains, and in just 28 seconds, our preview build is ready to go. So we can open this up, and we get authenticated with Vercel. I'll open this up for you. And that is our preview deployment, ready to go, ready to be observed by anyone in your team. So one of the coolest features of preview deployments that you might have noticed is commenting. And down the bottom here, if I just zoom in for you a bit, you can see that we have some little menus here that says comment and share and menu. But what do those actually do? Well, if I come up here, press C to start commenting, I'm going to head over to our blog title, and I'm going to highlight it. And that's going to create this new modal that says start a thread. And if I type something like this title needs to be changed, suddenly we have a huge thread on our preview deployment. And we can go ahead and react to that apparently if we want. Let's give that a little 100 emoji. And we can also open an inbox of all the threads that have been created on our website. And we can even filter it per page. So this is just something small that I love about preview deployments in Vercel, where we can have this little conversation instead of taking a screenshot of something wrong on your website and marking it up with any, paint garbage. We can just directly comment on what's wrong and then send the link off to our team. And I just thought that was kind of cool. But let's jump back into Vercel now, and we can take a look at the project page. If we head back to blog starter kit and project, if we scroll down now, just below our production deployment, we can see that in active branches, we have our development branch there with all the details. So we know what branch it is, we know how many comments someone's written on this website, and we can even open it up from here as well. So that is preview deployments in Vercel. Give me a second, please. So we've just seen how easy it is to deploy to Vercel, but what about analytics and logging? We all want to see that stuff. We all want to see who's visiting our website or how performant it is. And we want to maintain some logs for reference. So it's all available for free in Vercel. Let's jump in and take a look. On our project page, we can actually jump up to Speed Insights. And if you don't know what Speed Insights are, they're actually a metric from 0 to 100 based on how performant your website is. They track stuff such as loading speed or responsiveness or visual stability. And you can actually just get this for free on the hobby plan. If we scroll down and we click enable, I actually get an error, and that's because free accounts can actually only have one website with Speed Insights enabled at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement analytics for this website, and then I'll show you it all working on my existing blog. So moving on from there, we can hit analytics, and we get a similar modal asking us or stepping us through how to enable web analytics. We can see how many visitors will come in. If I just click next, we can see the details of our plan, and we can get 2,500 events per month included and 1 month of viewable history, all for free. I don't know how popular you guys are, but I'm not that popular, so this is more than enough for me. And we're just gonna go ahead and click enable. Once that's all done, we get a nice getting started message from Vercel. They give us some steps to complete in order to actually track analytics in our website. So I'm going to highlight this because this is an important package to install. And we can go ahead and actually open up the Vercel documentation, which explains exactly how to do this. We can enable web analytics in Vercel. We'll add the package to our project. I'm actually going to go ahead and yoink that. And we can add the analytics component to our app. Then all we need to do is deploy it. So next thing I'm going to do is jump into VS Code and implement all those steps I just scrolled through. So the first thing I want to do is add the package. And it's just as simple as running a npm install. And then once that's done, we can head over to our app tsx, just as the documentation said, which is where all of our configuration is going to live. Again, I'm going to copy down some code that I've already written. And here we're going to import the analytics tag from the package that we just installed. Now I can go ahead and add that tag into our component. And you'll see, once I save this, I'm going to open this up, and it's just going to add Vercel Web Analytics into the page and start tracking page views. There's some props that you can also add to this, but I'm not interested in any of those props at the moment. Now all we need to do is make sure we're on main, first of all, and commit those changes. So we'll come over, stage them all, and just hit add analytics. We can see page views, things like top pages and top referrers. Thanks, Goldie. We can see who is visiting from where. We can see the operating systems they're using and the browsers they're using as well. You can also, if you are on a pro plan, use custom events. So that's pretty handy as well. So moving on from there, we can take a look at the speed insights. We can see just how performant the site is. Humble brag, it's pretty good. But we can take a look at how performant my website is. We can take a look at time to first contentful paint, largest paint, cumulative layout shift, all this good stuff. And it's just really awesome information for you to optimize your website. So Now that we've seen all this awesome stuff, we can move over to logging. And logging in Vercel is fairly basic. All you see is what endpoints are getting hit in your website, and you have some filters on the left-hand side as well. And with that, that's actually it. We've seen just how easy it is to deploy to Vercel and start jumping into our development. So you might be wondering, how does Vercel compare? What are the pros and cons of using it? Well, it's actually quite easy. It's scalability. It has great enterprise features like logging or better logging and including multi-tenant applications. It has great performance. You've seen how quickly you can iterate using Vercel. It has access to edge functionality, being able to run functions closer to your end user to take advantage of Vercel's edge functions. And ease of use. Again, you've seen just how easy it is to get started. There's a focus on development, which means I can focus on getting my app and iterating my features and deploying them. And as you've seen, there's an incredible suite of free features. So what are the downsides? Well, you're mostly locked into Node.js, and it has a front-end focus with less CI/CD opportunity. So if you're looking at building something more back-end, or you want to work on your CI/CD skills, Vercel probably isn't the thing for you. Pro pricing is also per user per month, which is quite a large downside for some, but they do negotiate. So, now that you've learned all about Vercel and how to get started in it, I regret to inform you that unfortunately we no longer have an excuse to not get those side projects going. If you're interested in learning more about Vercel or NextJs, you're in luck, because NextJS Conf is just around the corner this month on October 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Not as lucky for us though, because for us that is 3 a.m. on October 27th AEDT, so we'll just enjoy the VODs, I suppose. You can see where I got the inspiration and resources for this talk, and if you've got some feedback, please go ahead and scan this QR code and tell me all about how you hated what I said. Oh, okay, sorry. I'll give him a couple of seconds. We'll give you 10 seconds. No more, no less. Otherwise, you can take a look at the VOD, Bradley. All right, so. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. If you're interested in finding the source code that we wrote together today, or you want to take a look at this presentation on GitHub, please go ahead and find me at Tylah Kapa. Otherwise, you've been such an awesome audience. I love you all very, very much, and thank you so much for watching.
We've got a couple questions from the audience. First of all, someone's asking about the logging. So does the logging tab in Vercel include the logs from your edge functions?
Include the logs from your edge functions. So the question was, you've already iterated it. So yes, Vercel does actually show the logs from your edge functions. They show when they got hit, and I believe it also shows the response that came through.
Thank you. Someone also wants to know, is it just for prototyping, or can you also use Vercel for enterprise applications?
Yep, so Vercel is used by enterprise corporations. Please don't ask me what they are right now, but I assure you, yes, they are used by very serious companies iterating on serious applications.
Yep. So if you start on Vercel and then you decide you need some stronger backend needs and commit to Vercel, are you tied to Vercel, or is it fairly easy to move your Next.js code base to another cloud provider like Azure?
Yeah, so as you saw, all we did was kind of point Vercel at a repository. So I'd imagine that if you wanted to migrate, you found Vercel was too expensive for you, and you wanted to downsize and just use Azure or something like that, you should just be able to pluck your repo out of Vercel or shut down that project in Vercel and migrate all of your resources into Azure and point at that repo instead.
Awesome. Question from the audience.
You're bragging that you wanted to do this for free, right? You're paying $30 a month, but it sounds like you're paying for this Vercel stuff. Right?
Repeat the question.
How did you meet your goal?
Yeah, so the question was, if I was already paying $30 a month, it seems like there are some features that you would have to pay for. Is that correct? So how did I end up paying less? And that is purely because I didn't have a need for the enterprise features in Vercel. Things like custom logging, I don't need access to that. But everything I showed you is entirely free. So all of those features are more than enough for my needs, and those might not suit you. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Cool. Another question from online. Can we swap out the Node.js backend and use something else like .NET?
I was so afraid of this question. So I said it was mostly locked into the Node.js ecosystem, and it is somewhat, I've heard through the grapevine, that it's possible to use something like Blazor WASM and deploy that to Vercel as well, but I've heard it's a lot of hoops to jump through. So you're really going through a lot more effort in order to use WASM instead.
All right, one last question, Tyler. Are you being paid by Vercel, or what's going on here?
I should be. So Vercel, if you're listening, please sponsor me, and I'll do some more awesome Vercel content for you. No, I am not being paid by Vercel.
Awesome. One last round. Oh, before I wrap up, one question.
It's in the chat. How many preview sites am I allowed to use at once?
Repeat the question.
So the question was, how many preview sites are you allowed to use at once? And the answer is, I'm not too sure about that, but I've had upwards of 4 projects deployed at the same time and never had an issue. So I'm not aware of any actual restrictions around how many projects you can have.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Thanks, Bradley.
Cool. All right. We'll call that a wrap. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great talk, Tyler. So hopefully we can see some more info about Vercel, maybe on a blog you've deployed using Vercel.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
All right.
That is real and true. I do have a blog on Vercel, and you can take a look at it at kappa.dev. Cool.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.